Most people spend their entire lives reacting to the world around them. They bleed their emotion into every interaction, signaling every vulnerability, every fear, every minor tremor of their fragile ego. They speak too quickly, explain too much, and desperately beg for the validation of people who care nothing for them. But every so often, an individual steps out of this noise, someone who understands a fundamental truth of human dynamics, that noise is weak and silence is terrifying. When you learn to withhold your reaction, something unsettling happens in the minds of those around you. Human beings are biological prediction engines. We spend our lives constantly projecting how others will respond to us. If someone insults you, they expect anger. If someone leaves you, they expect desperation. If someone tries to manipulate you, they expect compliance or resistance. But when you offer them absolute, unyielding silence, you shatter their script. You force them into an echo chamber with their own worst impulses. In that stillness, their minds turn inward, and panic quietly takes root. True emotional detachment is not a passive act of withdrawing or hiding away from the world. It is a deliberate, highly calculated posture of absolute control. It is the conscious decision that no external event, no reckless word, and no hostile force possesses the authority to disturb the stillness of your mind. Think of the people who have tried to provoke you in the past. They offered you bait, hoping you would bite, hoping you would descend to their level so they could fight you on familiar ground. When you refuse to take the bait, you deny them leverage. You leave them standing alone in an empty arena, swinging at shadows. This is the foundation of Machiavellian sovereignty. It is the realization that your energy is an asset of infinite value, and most people do not deserve a single drop of it. When you stop offering your emotions freely to anyone who demands them, you force the world to recalibrate around you. People begin to walk carefully. They censor their disrespect. They measure their words in your presence, not because you threaten them, but because they can no longer read your map. You have become an enigma, and humanity inherently fears what it cannot map. And right now, if you are ready to reclaim your emotional sovereignty and step into absolute stillness, type in the comments, "I master my silence." The fear of silence is rooted deep in human biology. Since the dawn of tribal life, exile was a death sentence. To be ignored, to be cut off, to be met with total neutrality meant that you no longer mattered to the group. This ancient code still resides within the human nervous system. When you look at someone with calm, unblinking composure, when you allow a long, heavy pause to hang in the air after they speak, their subconscious interprets that silence as high-status dominance. They begin to ask themselves questions they never intended to face. Am I being judged? Did I step too far? Does this person know something I do not? Consider the immense power of remaining calm when chaos breaks out around you. When everyone else is panicking, shouting and losing their grip, the individual who maintains a cold, steady presence immediately becomes the center of gravity in the room. You do not need to raise your voice to command attention. In fact, the lower your volume, the more intently people are forced to listen. The less you speak, the heavier your words become when you finally choose to drop them into the conversation. Most people speak simply to fill the void, because quiet makes them uncomfortable. They betray their secrets, reveal their strategic weaknesses, and compromise their position just to kill an awkward pause. A true master of dark psychology learns to love the awkward pause. They sit comfortably in the tension, leaning back, watching the other person unravel under the pressure of their own need for noise. You must train yourself to treat silence not as an absence of sound, but as an active physical force. When someone attempts to attack your character or drag you into a meaningless argument, your greatest weapon is not a clever comeback. It is a slow, methodical look, a moment of complete stillness, and a simple disinterested response. Or better yet, no response at all. Nothing degrades an aggressor faster than realizing their calculated blow landed on absolute air. It leaves them feeling small, exposed, and foolish. They realize in an instant that they hold zero power over your inner world. If you recognize the absolute power of denying toxic people your energy, pause for a moment and state clearly in the comments, "My composure is untouchable." To build this level of self-mastery, you must dismantle your desperate desire to be understood. The need to explain yourself is a subtle form of begging. When you constantly justify your decisions, your choices, or your boundaries, you are silently communicating that the other person holds authority over you. You are asking for their permission to exist as you are. The sovereign mind does not ask for permission. It acts, it observes, and it moves forward without offering an explanation to those who were never meant to understand the journey. Let them misinterpret you. Let them believe whatever stories they need to invent to cope with your distance. Let them call you cold, distant, or arrogant. Their opinions are merely reflections of their inability to manipulate you. The moment you stop defending your reputation to people who want to see you fail, you liberate an immense amount of strategic energy. You redirect that focus inward, building your empire, refining your mind, and strengthening your position in absolute quiet. There is a profound difference between being weak and being dangerously still. A weak person stays silent because they are afraid to speak. A sovereign person stays silent because they hold complete mastery over their tongue. They know that words once spoken can never be recalled, and that absolute secrecy is the ultimate weapon of power. When no one knows what you are planning, no one can prepare a defense. When no one knows your next move, no one can set a trap. Work in the dark. Build your resources, sharpen your skill set, and execute your strategy behind a wall of absolute discretion. Let the world witness your results long before they ever hear your voice. This is how empires are built without drawing early opposition. By the time your competitors realize you are in the game, you have already secured the high ground, leaving them to react to a reality you have already constructed. If you are committed to building your life in absolute focus without seeking approval, write firmly in the comments, "I operate in the shadows." This journey requires you to accept a hard, unvarnished truth about human nature. Respect is rarely given to those who are simply nice, gentle, and eager to please. Respect is given to those who possess the clear capacity for ruthlessness, but choose to hold it in check through discipline. People must realize, at a fundamental instinctual level, that you are entirely capable of walking away and never looking back. If they believe you are too attached to leave, they will slowly erode your boundaries, test your patience, and treat your kindness as weakness. The ultimate form of leverage in any human interaction is the genuine ability to walk away. When you step into a room knowing that you need nothing from anyone, present no validation, no money, no approval, no affection, you possess total freedom. You cannot be blackmailed. You cannot be enticed by cheap rewards. You cannot be threatened with isolation, because you are already completely at peace in your own solitary power. This emotional detachment is not built overnight. It requires daily practice in the small, quiet moments of life. It begins when you resist the urge to instantly reply to a provocative message. It grows when you choose not to participate in gossip or petty dramatic squabbles. It deepens when you sit alone with your thoughts without reaching for instant distraction. Every time you master an impulse, you add another brick to the fortress of your mind. You begin to realize that emotional outbursts are a luxury of the weak. The strong cannot afford them. A single loss of temper can destroy months of careful positioning and expose your hidden intentions to those who wish you harm. Train yourself to observe your emotions as passing weather patterns. You feel the anger rise. You feel the betrayal burn. But you do not allow those feelings to dictate your tongue or your actions. You remain the unyielding mountain while the storm passes around you. If you have chosen to master your internal world and master your emotional impulses, declare right now in the comments, "I am the master of my mind." As you step into this Machiavellian shift, you will notice a natural filtration process occur in your life. The manipulative, the entitled, and the loud agitators will gradually drift away from your orbit. They thrive on drama, emotional reactions, and constant reassurance. Your silence starves them of the chaotic fuel they desperately need to function, forcing them to seek easier targets elsewhere. In their place, you will attract individuals of true substance. People who recognize the rare value of quiet self-mastery, high-status discipline, and absolute discretion. You will find that your presence alone speaks louder than any speech you could ever deliver. When you enter a room, your calm, unbothered posture will draw eyes without a single word being spoken. You will move through the world not as a victim begging for acceptance, but as an absolute sovereign in your own realm. Remember that the ultimate flex of power is not convincing others that you are dangerous, wealthy, or intelligent. It is living so deeply anchored in your own self-mastery that you feel zero need to convince anyone of anything at all. You become completely untethered from the chaotic opinion of the crowd, focused purely on your own path, your own ascension, and your own unyielding standards. This is the path of dark sovereignty. It is quiet, it is demanding, and it requires you to sacrifice your weak desire for constant comfort and external approval. But on the other side of that sacrifice lies total emotional immunity, absolute self-mastery, and a quiet authority that forces the world to fall into line. Embrace your silence. Guard your energy with absolute ruthlessness, and step into the power that has been waiting for you all along. If you are ready to claim this quiet dominance and never look back, leave your final mark in the comments. I am sovereign.